3 years ago, Mucker Lab launched as the first incubator in LA. Today we're talking to them about how they help startups find product market fit.
We were the first accelerator to launch in LA, focused on internet and software businesses. What I was doing before this was investing a seed stage fund in the Bay Area. We just couldn't believe that there wasn't any seed stage infrastructure in LA. So that's really the focus of what we do with companies. And then other things like fundraising, we help with, but we view that almost as kind of incidental. If the product really works and customers or users are engaged and like it and buying it, fundraising kind of takes care of itself. One thing that's a little bit different is we don't really operate on a rigid 3-month schedule. We'll do one cohort a year, and that's usually around 10 companies, so a small number of companies and working with us for usually an extended period of time.
We decided to join Mucker Lab because we were at a point where we had just raised a little bit of friends and family money. We were working out of a spare bedroom at my house and wanted the camaraderie of other companies around us, wanted some office space, wanted the guidance of folks who had been through the startup timeline and workflow.
Because we didn't have the understanding and structure of how to kind of get our company going from just concept to early stages to really getting positioned for fundraising and growing. We saw that Mucker Lab had the experience and the expertise in operations and marketing and really execution.
They're hands-on guys. They're not just trying to get you funding to the next level. They're really trying to find a product market fit and help you build the business.
Since it has a limited number of openings per year, Mucker Lab is very selective about which startups it chooses to work with. Generally, it looks for companies that already have a product ready or out in the market, but might need help getting it off the ground.
So companies find us in a variety of ways. Sometimes we end up finding them, but then other times they're either referred to us by downstream investors for whom it's too early, or sometimes through other entrepreneurs in our network. Where we've seen the best fit is when a company has raised a little bit of angel capital, so they're not really starting from a standing start, and they've got either a prototype of a product or an early version of it in the market.
When it comes to applying to an accelerator, I think my advice is don't apply, that you network your way in.
We had several meetings with Eric and Will, and we went over the concept, what we're doing, really dove into our product. For us, it was choosing the right fit because you're really partnering with these people.
Financing comes as a byproduct of building great products and services. And so the focus is not just helping find financing.
But we view ourselves kind of as adjunct co-founders, where we'll do wireframes, we set up AdWords campaigns, or really whatever needs to get done.
They focus on a smaller group of candidates and have a pretty tight selection process. They don't bring in a ton of startups in and out. They spend a lot of time with them.
Mucker's partners and mentors like to get to know participating companies well and work very closely with them to get their products ready for market. They also try to help with things like staffing and fundraising.
One of the things we really like is domain expertise. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have done this before or started a company before, or that means they're older even. Really, part of it is just fit as well, just from meeting them. And we spend a fair amount of time with teams before we make an investment.
So I work pretty closely, typically with a select group of startups that Mucker picks, whether that's to help them build their first clients out, help them with marketing and PR, things like that, right? But help recruiting a really stellar team.
So working in an accelerator space is really valuable, partly because of the friendships you build. So think of all the times that I'm in touch with all 30 Mucker companies, trading tips on vendors, or did you outsource a QA, and who'd you do that to, and how was your experience there? There's constantly this flow of questions.
A lot of times we were just working and had our heads down, but we didn't realize what are the things that we need to be tracking, what things should we be thinking ahead as we grow. And so Will and Eric really brought that in and focused our attention into the important parts.
When you're starting a company and your head's down and just building your product or your service, it's very hard to be focusing on all that stuff. You haven't staffed out a team, and that's where a good bench of mentors can really be helpful.
One of its key differentiators is that Mucker operates more like an incubator, where different startups work side by side and partners are generally available. It also has a network of founders and mentors to help out.
The lab itself is differentiated from a lot of other accelerators in that Eric and Will are very, very operational in nature.
Will and I spent most of our careers in the Bay Area, so we can be a little bit of a bridge between LA and the Bay Area in a way that really not many other folks can.
When companies are considering applying to an accelerator, they ask, is giving up the equity worth it? That's one area where they get hung up. Absolutely yes. The difference in that small amount of common stock is not going to make or break you. What will is the network you develop by going through a program. To this day, now over a year later, I'm still actively in touch with all the co-founders from all the cohorts we've been in touch with.
Tapping into Mucker Lab's network, even the fellow founders from previous classes have been instrumental in us learning new things or even in getting introduced to new investors. There's so many ideas that are bouncing off the walls here. Just having that be in that creative space has been hugely helpful for us.
Pick an amazing group of companies, and from the ones that I've worked with in the first 2 or 3 classes, most of them have really made transformative changes to their business, not from keeping heads down in their product, but from sharing it with the person 3 desks down from them.
So if you're a startup founder who loves the weather in Southern California but wants to get head down with a bunch of other startups in an incubator, Mucker Lab's for you.